Kevin Inoue here, Flight Designer LLC. Haven't kept up. Had some things I wanted to share that actually go back about a month at this point. Talking about making props, and one of the things that brought this up for me, which I have not been able to do personally and verify yet, is there's some really interesting things happening in the realm of AI video right now. I gotta say, the generative AI in general is kind of scary for anybody in the movie industry. And for anybody who cares about just information in society and people being able to trust their own eyes. It's things like deep fakes are definitely a little bit disconcerting, but one of the features I do like about some of the new generative AI things that I've seen some friends playing with is the ability to swap out objects. So take this video and, put me in a different outfit, which is stuff that Hollywood does already with like Iron Man just wearing a, suit with markers. They don't have to wear the whole costume the whole time, stuff like that. The stuff effects teams do right now anyway. But also like, make my arm into a robot arm, like Winter Soldier, or, make my cardboard knife look like a real knife. And you just, you upload a static image of a real knife and you wave around your cardboard prop knife and it'll use that static image to generate a 3D model, and then sub that 3D model in, exactly overlapping and replacing the other object with just a text prompt, which to me has a lot of potential. Everything from, said cardboard knife being a lot safer than a steel one, or, foam props being swapped out for realistic, sharp-looking, what look like metal props. But also, like, if you want to shoot a bank heist downtown and you don't want to get shot because you're waving around what look like real guns, you can be waving bright orange squirt guns and swap those out for something that looks like a realistic gun in post. I'd love to be able to try this. So far, the free trial versions of everything, the queue is too long and it says, nice try, we just, there's too many people ahead of you in line, and if you want, you can buy our service for $80 a month or whatever it is. I'm not that motivated at this point. It might come up for some scripts that I'd love to do at some point. I've got like a robot character in one. That might be one way to do. I've been thinking markerless mocap, which this basically is. Markerless mocap plus generative AI equals the ability to just swap something out in the live video. So I'm interested in seeing where that goes. I'm not sure yet. And until that happens, we have to do things in the low tech or the middle tech kind of way. So right now what I want to talk about is the middle tech kind of way, which is the stuff that I've been playing with for a few years now around 3D printing. So I had the good luck to work on Gamer's Dorkness Falls about a month ago up in Washington with some friends that I also had worked with on Gamer's Dorkness Rising 20 years ago, and Gamer's Hands of Fate a little less than that. So this is, an established franchise at this point, but it's a low-budget franchise, and so we're kind of scrapping things together as we can, like we always do. And there were some things in the script that involved people potentially being stabbed a couple different ways, a couple different times. But because I was just going out for the weekend, I didn't have the real art department chance to vet things with people. There was some confusion over who's bringing what between stunts and art department, and even who stunt coordinator from week to week was changing. I don't know. It was a little confusing. So I was driving up, not having it in my own backyard, so I can't just decide the day of what I want to grab. I'd throw some things in the car and prepare things ahead of time and just hope that what I had would work. And so I brought some options for what I felt would be safe daggers for various things. It included some of these foam daggers and things like that I was like, well, maybe it'll match something that they have, or maybe it'll just be at a distance so we won't know. There was something in the script about a dagger getting smacked out of the air when it was thrown. That got cut, so I don't feel like it's a spoiler because it doesn't happen. But I had some of these 3D printed Jimbaya daggers that I've done. Actually, I started these, I think, back in Ohio. I already did a couple of those. So I already have these files. And one of the beauties of 3D printing is it's really easy to make a partial file. And so I figured that'd be a good starting point in case these turned out to be the ones to use. And again, not a spoiler because they chose not to. But I never know what they're going to choose, so I had to have some options ready. So this, obviously the blood splatter itself is kind of silly and would not be what we would actually use, but it gives us something to anchor with so that when you have a a slit in the clothing, you cut a little hole in the shirt. And if anything does show, it's at least vaguely appropriate and not like some weird color or whatever. So I figured this could give us one option if we needed to show that someone was stabbed and, just have it there while they fall down or sticking out of them or something. Again, when you can't talk through the shots with people ahead of time, storyboards, you don't know how they're going to want to make that shot happen. It just says someone gets stabbed. I don't know what they need to actually see. Maybe they get backstabbed and we see something like this come out the front. Or, they get stabbed in the front and we see something like this come out the back. In which case, we might also need multiple parts, right? So maybe we've got something where you've got, part of you with the dagger going. Obviously my hand is too thin for this, but that gives the idea, right? If we could have something coming in and coming out. This is just quick and easy cutoff that, we could conceivably extend in CG if we wanted to. But if it's just, we need a quick and easy shot of someone holding it there, that's the easiest way to do it without putting a hole in a costume or anything like that. Yes, you can get fancier with magnets and with other mounts, but that takes time. And on a film set, you really don't have time. Often it's like 2 minutes. Okay, what can you throw together? So we had another one that I had some of those parts for that they ended up not wanting the platform that it was on. So we ended up just snapping it off, because that's the other beauty of the 3D printed stuff, is it's really easy to just snap it off. And I knew that going in. I wasn't precious about it. I was like, okay, we've got this if we need it. We have a full-bladed version of a dagger. We have some broken off versions. This one actually broke someplace I didn't want it to. It was originally, that much blade sticking out so that I could have, what looks like a blade disappearing into someone if we needed. So, you want to have versions, you want to have options. I didn't have a scabbard and I didn't know if they'd need one, so this was thrown together in like 2 minutes with spare cardboard from craft services and some tape. Because you never know, suddenly, crap, they didn't pick the one that I had 10 versions of, they picked the one that was a last minute thought. I didn't have as many versions of. And so then I had to figure out how to throw together. Oh yeah, now it's stuck because this turned together scabbard was a little too tight. So anyway, it's good to have options. It's good to have things that are at least vaguely modular. This particular design also, like the blade could just kind of sit in there. It didn't have to be glued, which gave the option of having 3 or 4 blade versions and even just one hilt. And you can just hold that in, because, we're not going to be using these for any intense, heavy fighting anyway, generally, on the kinds of shows that we're talking about here. And if we needed to, we'd ideally have other options too. We'd have different versions, and this would be kind of like our safer close-up version. But you're not going to do a blade-on-blade contact fight with this. But when it's in motion, like I said, nothing too vigorous. But when it's in motion, it's not too bad. And you can usually get away with something like that on a film set. But sometimes the paint gets messed up too. Or, as happened for us, we had an already established knife. Like these are just painted. And sometimes a little graphite powder or other stuff to get this kind of finish. But sometimes you got to match something they already have. And that was part of my issue, was I was coming into something they'd already been working on. I was there like the third weekend, so I didn't have any choice over a lot of the props. And some of them, frankly, were a little too pointy for my taste. There were some of the hero swords that were not sharp on the edges per se, but not stage blunt, and were really pointy, which is great for that close-up hero shot, where, something like this, you can really tell if someone's threatening it towards the camera, it looks really stupid and fake. But, you don't want to do a fight scene with something that's really pointy, so you gotta have options. And one of the issues was they had to throw a dagger, and we didn't have a hero version of one that could also be thrown that they liked. So this was my trying to cut down and add some tape to reshape one of these foam daggers I had that was sort of vaguely the right size. The blade was sort of vaguely the right shape, except it had like a little taper there. So I just filled it in with some tape. This was a twig from the woods that I put some tape around to make the cleons. This is not going to hold up in any kind of close-up. Yes, you could CG one better than this. You could text-to-video prompt AI much better one than this. But when it's in motion and it's flying through the air, hopefully nobody will care. I was just using a Sharpie, not great. And it took a while to even find something that was silver. What I wish I'd had on set, because even things like spray paint, they'll fill in some gaps, but they also take a while to dry. And again, time is money. Stuff like this, though, this is foil tape. Something like this could have made that look much better in much less time. If I could have just put a couple pieces of this down the blade, it gets a nice shiny metallic look. I've got some wider pieces of this around somewhere. Where'd it go? My shop's a mess. But anyway, the foil tape, it doesn't hold up long. It's great for quick fixes or something where you put it on and you can like fix it later if you need to. Here's what's left of a 3D printed knife that I was using for a play, and it went through the run of a show, and then I decided to reuse the grips because the grips are fine, so I pulled those off. But it did get snapped off at the tip with some action, so that got swapped out for another. But this is the kind of thing where as the paint gets messed up with it getting bent and pulled in and out of people's pockets and all, if you got the budget for it, which most movies do, this is what, like $2 for a roll, just put a new piece of this on every night. If it starts to bend too much and you get those creases, just rip it off and put a new one on. And that's the kind of thing where maybe for a long run of a play, it might not be the most appealing option. But when you're on set and you just need a fix that you can do in 30 seconds that'll last 2 minutes, so they get the take and they move on and they never have to look at it again, or you do it again, like that's great. That's what you need. So, lesson learned. Oh, hey, there it is. Actually, no, this one's just this duct tape, which, also probably would work on set. It's not too bad. But I have another one that's the actual foil tape somewhere. But lesson learned. This is going to go in my gig bag next time I'm doing anything with bladed weapons on set. I'm going to have some of this with me, just because you never know. Sometimes it's like, oh, we don't have a double for that, and I don't even know where that came from, but someone loved it, so now we got to have a double of it. When I grab a piece of cardboard, cut it out with my pocket knife into the right shape, slap some of this on it, that'll do for that one quick shot where they're, falling over a railing with it, and we don't want to do it with the steel one. So, this is not low-tech per se, 3D printing, but it's also like a 12-year-old 3D printer, and the technology itself is even older than that. We're all just playing catch-up here, and the world and the technology is going faster than we are by far, as an industry, or most of us as individuals. So kudos to my friends that are trying this stuff out. I have mixed feelings about AI in general and the energy consumption and where it gets its information and how the whole plagiarism industry that goes into it. But it is a tool, and it is a tool that's going to be pretty unavoidable. It's already getting integrated into almost all of our software, whether you like it or not. So I do think it behooves us to start figuring out how to make the best use of it, to leverage the skills and the personnel that we have already on set, or in production, or even just in planning and pre-production. Maybe it's time. Maybe we need to figure out what can we do without completely losing our souls in our own artistry, to help it amplify what we've got rather than completely replace it. So, I don't know. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you've tried. Show me some examples. I'm happy to hear about it, whether it's analog or digital or a mix. It's just tricky things we're navigating, and I wish us all luck. Till next time, Kevin Inouye, Fight Thunder LLC.